what's up, folks? It's Wix. I needed to get out some serious information here. I mean, I just don't know what to say, except there's been talk lately of a nuclear weapon going off in the country, which I've been telling people about for years now. And recently, just let me go through some of this stuff here that I'm looking at. Recently, Obama said his biggest fear is not the Russians invading or the Chinese, but is a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan. And the article that I found here says Homeland Security to cut NYPD bomb detection funding after Obama says New York City nuclear blast a bigger concern than Russia. Now, for those of you who don't know, Russia is already in the fucking country. Their troops are already here inside the country, working with our troops. The Chinese are on the outside. They're guarding our fucking coasts. They got both of our coasts on lockdown. And if you don't know that, just go and look up some of the strategic games, war games, that they've been having with our troops for the fucking longest now. So you got Chinese troops and Russian troops working with our troops. And their fucking threat, that's the threat? Are you fucking kidding me? No, the threat is they're gonna set it off them fucking selves. It's gonna be another false flag. They're gonna blame it on Iran or fucking Syria. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? They're gonna blame it on the fucking Patriots. It was a Patriot group. It was a militia group. They're gonna do that in order to come and confiscate the guns. And you can bet your ass when they confiscate the guns, China and the Russian troops are going to move in, and they're going to round all the Americans up, especially the Patriot ones, and we're going to be the ones in the FEMA camps. Now, if you haven't figured this out by now, I could give you proof up the fucking ass of this, and how it works, and that it's been in the damn plans since the 60s. Since the 60s. I could go on for days with the proof about this. What you need to do right now is to just listen and prepare. Okay, so and by the way, I'm going to post that video of Barack Obama saying that bullshit in the description below when I'm done with this. But I wanted to tell people, because they need to know what will happen during a nuclear blast. And I'm telling you right now, worst thing to do would probably be to get on the interstate. You want to stick to back roads if you can. Roads not many people would be going on, because the interstates and stuff are going to be, it's going to be a complete clusterfuck. But you need to know this information about if a nuclear weapon goes off. Now, this is just a flash and fireball. Now, if you can see this, if you see a flash or fireball, 30, even up to 100 miles away, depending on what kind of nuclear weapon it is. It could be a ground nuclear weapon, which you may only be able to see for about 30, 40 miles. Or it could be an EMP, which would be really bad. That would take out all of our electronics and everything. Those go off in the air. More apt to see those up to 100 miles away. But if you were to see something like that, the first effect of a nuclear explosion in the air is an intense flash of light, as quick as a lightning flash, but 1,000 times as bright. It's accompanied by a powerful pulse of heat radiation, sufficient to set fire to light combustible material out to a distance of 14 kilometers. There's also an intense pulse of X-rays, sufficient to be lethal at distance of up to 3 kilometers. In fact, that would be a rather small factor, since people that close would all or nearly all be killed by the blast that follows. Immediately after the flash, a fireball forms in the air. That's the big mushroom cloud that you see all the time, and rises for several seconds, blinding bright and radiating much heat. On a clear day or night, people up to 80 kilometers away, even 100, who happen to be facing that way, or who turn their eyes to look where the flash came from, would be temporarily or permanently blinded. Within 10 miles or so, 20, of ground zero, all parts of the body exposed to the flash would be burned deeply into the flesh superficial burns would be caused at greater distances, out to 15, 20 kilometers. Clothing that caught fire would cause many more burns. Weather conditions also, they play a little bit of a role. Uh, Time of the day the bomb is exploded, and the weather conditions would influence degrees of damage. For example, the radii for skin burns and blindness would depend on the weather. Mr. Fog reduces the range of the heat and light rays. On the other hand, darkness dilates the pupils of the eyes, increasing that probability of severe eye damage in the flesh. But now during the blast, starting at the same instant, but traveling more slowly, like the sound of thunder following a lightning flash, is an enormously powerful blast wave. It can't be mistaken. It would destroy even reinforced concrete buildings for a radius of up to 2-3 miles. Ordinary brick or timber frame houses out to 8 miles, 10 miles. Major damage to houses would extend out to even up to 20 miles probably, depending on the bomb. And windows would be broken at 30 or 40 miles. People at distance, if they realized what had happened when they saw the flash, would have a few seconds to lie down. But that's at, 30, 40 miles. Now, within 30 miles, almost everyone would be killed, either directly or by the blast or by collapsing or flying masonry, whatever. 8 miles, about 50% of people would be killed by the effects of the blast. So immediately following the blast wave would be hurricane force winds, first outwards from the point of the explosion, and many seconds later sucked back inwards towards the point. Within 4 kilometers, the wind would be a tornado force, 600 miles an hour, 500 maybe, depending on the blast. Sufficient to drive straws into wooden utility poles or glass splinters into people, of course, over a much wider area than a tornado. People in the open would be picked up and hurled into any object strong enough to be still standing. Then there's a firestorm. Many fires would start everywhere. And then there's going to be delayed radiation, which is the big one, the fallout. Nuclear explosion, as well as giving off great pulse of radiation at the time, leaves everything in the vicinity radioactive. Everything. Even the fucking bugs crawling around on the ground, there will still be, there are certain bugs that could survive a nuclear blast. Everyone knows a cockroach can. There's other bugs as well. But in the case of an airburst, which is basically what I just described, most of the radioactivity products would be gaseous or completely vaporized and would rise with the fireball and come down slowly, if at all. A lot of it just stays in the air and, floats along on the airwaves. But there might be a rainstorm containing radioactivity, as just like at Hiroshima, and the rubble within a kilometer or two of the ground zero would be radioactive. But it might hamper later rescue efforts. If anybody were to go in there, they might not even send people in there. But if any nuclear bomb explosion, a large fraction, maybe a minimum of 1/3 of the original fissile material, does not get destroyed. So that would result in widespread contamination, increasing the late risk of cancer of those who survived for 10 to 20 years. And like I said, there's going to be rescue problems. If the bomb is exploded squarely over the center of a city, no rescue services within the area of major structural damage would be able to function. So that means all downtown hospitals would be destroyed. There would be no electricity, water, telephone communication, anything like that. And rescue services from outside the area would be hampered with impassable roads and severe damage that would make it inaccessible. The number of injured in the area would be so great that emergency services of surrounding cities would be completely overloaded, as would be any surviving suburban hospitals and all the hospitals of neighboring cities. You can just imagine the ripple effects that this could cause. And, medical problems. This is a very serious threat, folks. And I, I, I think everybody needs to be prepared for this. And it's looking real bad lately. That's all I got for now. God bless. Carry on.